Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Good evening. This is Roz McCarthy, and I'm so happy to be with you this evening. What's going on? Hi, everybody.
Hey,
Listen,
everybody.
hey, Kristi.
Hey,
Listen,
Ross.
hey, I normally am on this platform with Can I Talk with Roz and with other different, other different program that we do, and we haven't been on for a while. But tonight is a special M4MM at night. I'm live here in Las Vegas. Kristi is in Houston, and it's just my pleasure to have Kristi on with us tonight. We're doing a special edition of M4MM at night because we want to talk about the Black Cannabiz conference coming up in Chicago, the end of July. And I'm so
Yep.
excited to have Kristi on. She's the founder, she's the organizer, she's the brainchild behind creating a space for Black folks in the industry. And it's with just my pleasure to introduce to you all. If you don't know her, you get to know her tonight, Miss Kristi Price. What's going on, girl? You good?
Aw,
Hi, honey.
thank you. Thanks, Roz. I'm great. I'm so excited to be joining you tonight to chit chat. Well, you know how we chit chat.
That's
Anyway,
right.
so now we're just gonna let people see us chit chat, be a part of our chit chats. But no, thank you so much for having me. You know, it's always love. And it has been for us for years and years and years. And so this is just another
Yes.
opportunity for us to show some more love. And now, together um, for the community. So I'm super excited to fill everybody in on what we have planned for Chicago in what, 2 weeks?
Yep. 2 weeks, man.
2 weeks. I can't even believe it. It's already 2 weeks.
I know. How about that? So, Kristi, before we even get into the gist of the conference or whatever, tell everybody about who you are, where you live. Tell them about yourself, your
A
family.
little bit about me.
Just a little bit about you, because that's even more important than the conference, because you are the conference, and we want to know about you.
Well, and you always think that people just know you because you talk. I mean, we are always on the phone. We're always talking, and as organizers and you two, Raj, you already know how that is. It's like we feel
Yeah.
like so many people already know us. So doing the intros and stuff is always weird for me because I'm like, I'm an organizer for a reason. I'm not on the stage. I put people on the stage because I prefer to be in the background. But a little bit about me. So I'm Kristi Price. I founded Black Cannabusiness back in 2019, actually as a platform initially that was just going to provide, just pretty basic business to business content for people of color, that are doing business in the cannabis space. And my background is in media. And so my vision for Black Cannabusiness initially was just that. It was going to be like an online magazine and where we would just distribute this content. And so, as everyone knows, in 2020, everything changed for many of us, especially those of us who were in the cannabis space, and in particularly those of us who were trying to build a business in the space. And so, in 2020, I had planned to launch the Black Cannabusiness website and platform, and had spent the previous year just amassing all these email addresses and contacts for this launch. And then when COVID came around and the world kind of, went still for a while, I had to reevaluate, like many of us had to back then. You're like, what was the next step or the next right thing for me to do and with my business? And so I had, like I mentioned, I had gathered all of these contacts, and I said, you know what I'm going to do, because there's a couple of things going on. So it was COVID first. I'm in Houston, like you mentioned, Roz, and this is the home of George Floyd. So that
Yeah.
2020 was also the year when we had all the civil unrest because of of his murder. And then it was also an election year. So I mean, it's almost like Groundhog Day again because it's been 4 years and here we are, back again already. But the year had just become, for many of us in the community, just really stressful, and we were
Yeah.
really frustrated. And there were just so many things going on in the community that I felt perhaps there was an opportunity to have a conversation about.
Right.
So I said, okay, I'm going to have a webinar with a couple of people that I had met at the time and just have this conversation. Well, this webinar turned into a 2.5 day virtual event. And that's when everybody in 2020 was having virtual conferences. So all the conferences that had traditionally, been in person was going virtual. And so though I knew I always wanted to do an event, I didn't think that would be the first thing I did. So wrapping my mind around like this conference and really what it was supposed to be really came from the community. And it came from, the folks who have come around over the last couple of years since our inception to say, hey, this is a platform that's so needed. Like many of us, when we get into the space, we try to do our research to figure out like what's happening, what's not happening. So you can kind of get in where you fit in. We don't all want to come in doing the same things. And at the time, there were no other national platforms that were focused on people of color in the space. And so since then, we have just grown year over year, 2021 and 2022. We were offline and we were in person in New Orleans. And then in 2023, last year, we took a beat so we could do, a practice. And I know I'm preaching to the choir with a lot of other entrepreneurs where sometimes a business gets ahead of you. And you need to take a beat, and say, okay, this exercise of what's working, what's not working, what can we do better? And so coming out of 2023, two big major themes popped up. One was the timing of the show. So we had traditionally been in November, which is in the fall of the year. And we heard from our, attendees that was kind of tough. It was close to the holidays. It was MJ Biz. Candidly, people are out of money, or they have money already allocated for other things. So that was a takeaway. And then the second takeaway was our location. And so as much as we love New Orleans, and how much and as much time as we have enjoyed there, collectively and individually, we decided that, if we wanted to really stay true to the pillars of why we were founded, and that was to support Black and brown people in this space, then we probably should host a conference in a state or in a region where the folks that we were founded to support work and live, and do business. So we wanted to stay centrally located in Chicago, and the Midwest has always just been a hotbed of activity and support for our brand. And so we decided to replant our roots in Illinois as we continue to spread, our branches around the country, really in the world. So that's, in a nutshell, who I am and a little bit of the history of the conference.
And getting into the conference as well. So everybody knowing, 2020, I remember COVID and just thinking to myself, will we ever get out of this? Like, I was just like, oh my gosh. And so being able to create something as a response to that and grow it, and then have a year you've taken off to say, okay, let's look at it, let's tweak it, let's massage it, let's go from there. And then now being able to now have a new city like Chicago. Tell the people about the vibe of Chicago and why Chicago. So shout out to all the folks that live in Chicago. If you've ever been in Chicago in the summertime, oh honey, you missed.
Oh my God.
Chicago in the summertime is the absolute best. The food, people, whatever. But just tell people about the vibe of what you're creating with bringing this conference to Chicago.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I think so. Like we mentioned, we're Southern girls. But if I was ever going to live in a cold place, it would be Chicago for a number of reasons. I think that the community is just so vibrant and diverse. And outside of cannabis, the Chicago market is a brand city. If you're building a brand in CPG or in packaging or in alcohol and beverage or any of those industries, Chicago is a hub, for a lot of that. And I felt like the city in and of itself was just a really great relaunch for us, because a part of what Black Cannabusiness wants to do is normalize cannabis as a business opportunity for people of color. And part of normalizing it is showing other industries or being a part of what other industries are doing, to kind of show up and show that our industry is so much more than, only dispensaries or only cultivating. It's just a broad opportunity for so many of us to get involved. And Chicago is definitely one of those cities that is just brimming with opportunity across industry. And I felt like it was just a really great match for us. And like I've mentioned, Chicago has stood up and been such great supporters of the conference as well. And so moving to Chicago was really a no-brainer for us, because it really kind of checked all the boxes for us. I mean, we were still, it's a top 3 market in the country, just in terms of just business in general. Is still similar to Houston and Florida in a lot of ways. It's a really diverse community of folks. And when I say diverse, not just in culture.
Chicago has like little neighborhoods. You can be on the south side of Chicago, then you can be in Russian Village, and you can be over. I mean, it's so many diverse neighborhoods.
There's so many little pockets.
And pockets and the food, and you go on Lake Michigan. Like, I would love to go on Lake Michigan and just go jogging on the lakefront, on the beach, what have you.
Yes.
I mean, the people is sexy, it's a vibe, it's so much fun. And so
the whole thing. And you remember back in the day, everybody would go to the Taste of Chicago, so Chicago, similar to New Orleans, was not a hard sell. Like, people understood. It's like, oh, I got it. Like, when we're in Louisiana, we explained, why we launched there and what the roots were and how we wanted to raise awareness around, incarcerated individuals in the space, with Louisiana being one of the most incarcerated states, if not the most incarcerated state in the world, not even the US. I'm talking about the world. And many of those folks look like us. So launching the conference there, I think we served a purpose to raise awareness about what our mission is. And now as we transition to Chicago, it's just a bigger market and a bigger stage, if you will, to continue to promote and amplify our stories.
So the folks who've never been before, who are thinking about, I don't know if I should go. If you're seeing this video now live, if you see this video later, let me tell you what Kristi has adopted this kind of thought, and I'm like, love it. This is the homecoming, and we're not apologizing for Black folks to come get together. We go to all these different conferences. We go to MJ Biz, we go to NECAM, and we carve out a little space for us. Kristi has created space for us just to walking up and down these aisles and see people that are throughout the country, Michigan, New Jersey, Missouri, Florida, North Carolina, Virginia. Folks that are doing business, not only in cannabis, but also in hemp as well, because there has to be a direct correlation in knowing that these two industries, they really are the same plant, just kissing cousins. And how do we bring us all together to celebrate what we're doing in this space? So with that being said, Kristi, talk about the theme. Share with them some of how you themed out, some of the things that you have, maybe even some of your guest speakers that you have that are going to be such blockbuster speakers, speaking on topics that are so important for the time that we're in right now. Can't hear you. You went. Hold on, Kristi. All right. Unmute yourself.
Let me see.
There you go.
Am I still muted?
Yeah, you got it. Yeah.
Okay. So, we have just been really fortunate, to your point, Roz, that, in building a conference, to build a community that is not where social equity and conversations around what's important to Black and brown folks is not the exception. It is what we do, right? So every single topic, every single speaker, every single workshop was created with that in mind, and so the topics that we have and the tracks that we have that we focus on is a direct response to what we have heard from our community and what they're needing. If everybody hopefully has been to blackcannabisexpo.com. I see Roz is scrolling. We're doing the ticker thing down there, but I hope you guys take a moment to visit the site. We've done a lot of great work on the site to not just highlight the conference itself, but our speakers. We have over 50 speakers who are participating this year at the conference. And Roz, like you mentioned, hailing from across the country. A lot of folks are returning. We've had speakers since the very first Black Cannabusiness, and when they found out that we were coming to Chicago, they reached out to me individually, and they were all like, "Okay, now that you're moving to Chi-Town, don't forget the little people, because we were there at the beginning. We were there down in the NOLA and in New Orleans. So what we gonna do, And so we have just an amazing lineup, and I always have to shout out folks, and this is not to slight folks, because like I said, we have over 50 speakers, but there are certainly some speakers who really took an initiative this year to make sure that not that just that their voices were heard, because many of our speakers are on stages all over the world. I mean, like my husband says all the time, it's like we're the all-star. We have the all-star speaker list, as particularly people of color in the space, because everyone just really sees the benefit to coming to the show, sharing their knowledge and their resources with their own community, and being able to kind of quantify the time that they're spending sharing
Yeah.
this information. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So, you know, we have like the Whitney Beatties and the Chris Balls. We have the whole California crew, you know, that's coming, you know, from Chicago, you know, 1937 group, and so many other amazing local with scene, you know, nonprofits and groups
Yes.
that are in the Midwest, Collexium out of Detroit. I mean, you name the state, we have a speaker who has put forth an effort to be there, right? So we don't, you know, throw out a net and just, you know, catch everybody. We do applications, people apply, they submit presentations, they are on orientation calls. We just wrapped up our orientation calls yesterday for all 50 speakers and panelists and moderators, the whole thing. I mean, so it's a really concerted effort, and it's not just me. You know, I'm organizing it for sure, but the themes, the topics, all the workshops, all of that information is coming directly from the people who are doing this work every day and who recognize that there are gaps in understanding and education and resources that they want to share, you know? And so we're so excited to have everyone. Again, if you head over to the website, click on our program overview and on speakers, and you'll be able to see all of our 50 some odd speakers, their bios and their sessions.
Awesome.
Excuse me, my 6-year-old's tooth just fell out, so she couldn't even stop. Congratulations. Mama's gonna come see you in a minute.
We always work. Hey, baby, I know that tooth. Put it on your pillow because the tooth fairy got something for you, honey. Listen. So, you know what, Kristi?
Be looking for it.
I know. I would be too. So, like, the conversation, we have a lot of people that are not in our industry that go, why should I come to a Black Cannabiz Expo? Can you talk about, yes, we have an industry, but that ancillary industry that can support the industry for entrepreneurs, like just the opportunity of an industry that's so brand new, like our industry, how now is the time to figure out how to, one, make relationships, make connections, and figure out how to find your place and to grow your business within our industry.
Yeah. You hit the nail on the head, finding your place, right? I think that's the biggest struggle. Any industry that you're getting into, if you're wanting to start a business, expand a business, launch a business, it's kind of getting in where you fit in, you know, and finding the spaces and the places that provide you with the opportunities, to your point, Roz, to make those important connections, to get those important lessons, you know, to bring back, you know, those takeaways that you can say, you know, we know with the industry being what it is, cannabis is so siloed inherently, you know, with the lack of federal legislation and all the other things that keep us kind of in these boxes. So the conference is like at least that one time a year where you can kind of lift your head up above, you know, the work that you're doing in the day-to-day, take a purview of what's going on around the country, talk to people who are doing the same work that you're doing in different states, learn the lessons, you know, avoid the mistakes. That's one of the conversations that the California team is coming to talk about. It's like California is one of the mature markets in cannabis. They've been through the ringer, right? They've learned some lessons and they've made some mistakes. And when they reached out to me to say, hey, Kristi, we want to come speak this year, but it's not fluff. We don't want to get on stage and just talk about rah, rah, rah. We want to talk about the real deal, you know, the realities of raising capital, the realities of managing your teams and your money. You know, what it looks like if you want to start a plant touching business, like what the costs are that are associated with that. And then to your point, ancillary, that we have so many folks who have come back and said, like, hey, listen, if I would have known before I went this route, that this was an opportunity for me, or if I had known that I didn't have to reinvent myself in cannabis, I could come as I am with the skill sets that I have from whatever industry I hail from, teachers, nurses, doctors, pharmacists, engineers, architects, supply chain, banking, security, IT. I mean, hello, it's a whole industry. And so when we think about how we are expanding, and again, while Chicago or in the Midwest is such a sweet spot for us, it's because we are doing outreach to, you know, other communities and other professional groups to have them consider cannabis. You know, because we really want to, and one of our goals of the Black Cannabusiness is to really affect the numbers of folks that look like us that are doing business in this space. And so to us, that means recruiting. And that means going out and bringing more people in. Because as much as we commune with each other, that's not really moving the number, or that's not really moving the needle. So when we talk about, you know, growing our numbers in the space, a lot of what our goal is with the conference is it's kind of be a see it, to be at opportunity. So if you're not in cannabis, if you're considering cannabis, if you're a veteran in cannabis, if you are a newbie in cannabis, it's really a place for all of us, because there's something, if you're an
If you just like the
entrepreneur,
plant and
it's
want
a
to
place.
consume, I say, listen, Kristi, I say, even if you just like the plant and want to consume, that's it. Let me tell you something. Chicago is an adult use market, and there's different retail, there's different spots. There is nothing like, I mean, the Windy City in the summertime is such a beautiful, beautiful opportunity just to come together. I think it's important for us also as Black folks, like you would look at us and go, oh, you guys are like, oh, you're Roz McCarthy, you're thriving. Let me tell you something, honey. I got the same issues just like everybody else, sometimes even worse in regards to how I'm building my brand. And sometimes you want to get together with people that look like you, that have the same challenges, that come from your community, that you can commiserate together, that you can look at and go, girl, listen, don't stop. I got you. Keep going. And I think that's where we have the pleasure working with Scene and M4MM. We're going to host a dice mixer on that Wednesday night evening, just for people to get together, to have some cocktails, or just to have, just to talk to one another, consume safely, and be able to just network and connect. And I know that there's some takeaways that you want people to walk away with. Can you share with some of those, like some of the real critical takeaways that you're thinking that your guests and your attendees should walk away with?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing I want everyone to walk away with is a feeling of community, and knowing that when you go back to your home state, to get back to the grind that cannabis is, that you're not alone. I mean, that's the main thing, that there are hundreds, literally, of us that are doing this work. Some of us further along than others. And to your point, Roz, I think another important takeaway is that you're not alone. You're not in it by yourself, but you also have people a network that you can plug into, and that you can connect with. And I think that one of the things that makes working in the cannabis industry more challenging than others, going back to the silos, is that you just don't know who you don't know. And it's so difficult to connect with folks. And so leaving the conference with a bigger community and a network of folks who can support you, make some deals. Like we have, and that's one of the things we're going to have on stage and at the show. We're going to have folks acting as like hosts and hostesses on our main stage. So every day in the morning, we call it church because that's what it feels like. But at the corporate education time, one of the things our attendees said, they're like, Kristi, we love a breakout, but we really love to be together so we can have an amen corner and all that whole thing. And so, our main stage sessions are going to be facilitated by folks who have over the years found benefit in the conference, people who've made deals, built businesses, started this and grown that, and so those are the big takeaways. I want people to walk away feeling like they're not alone, with tools and resources, things they didn't know before they got there. And then also having made communications and connections with people who have really found their way, in the platform, and how and the folks who are sharing how the platform has helped them find their way. That's kind of what I hope folks can take away.
So it's about creating community, about connection. It's also about deals and asking for what you want, right? Because you have to come with the mindset that I'm here. Yeah, I'm gonna have a good time, whatever, but I'm here to get my business on and to figure out how I walk away with having, if the ball's moving down the field, if you don't make a touchdown, at least get to the 50-yard line. So we are halfway there, what have you, so that you can see the progress and also see the value and the return of the investment, right? Because it is an investment that you make to fly there, to housing, the whole 9 yards, but it's so worth it. And it's so critical for us to invest in ourselves. And there's no better place to be at a smaller conference where people, you can go from one booth to another. Talk about the vending space, how you've opened that up from different vendors than what you've had before in the past.
Well, again, going back to wanting to make sure that we are, as an industry or as a conference, we want to be inclusive, right? So we can't say, hey, we're all for diversity and inclusion, and then we're only, strictly, this industry or strictly people who look like us. And so we have a very diverse expo this year. So we have definitely folks on the plant touching side of the business who have brands who will be there. We have folks at many ancillary businesses that will be there in cannabis, but then we also have folks who are outside of cannabis. So other CPG brands will be in attendance, other small and medium and some large. I mean, we have, the whole gamut of businesses that are going to be represented. Great, wonderful activations from our sponsors. Can't talk about all of that because some of those things are some surprises, but we will be sharing more and more on our website and on our social channels. So please, everybody, make sure you're following Black Cannabusiness so you can get all the latest and greatest. But the expo this year is just going to be fire. We have a stage on the expo floor this year. So we'll also be sharing content down there that's more relative to community and social engagement. And then, of course, the conference that happens at the same time. So they're both almost like two separate events, kind of happen concurrently. But it's just a lot of energy. So we're up and down,
It's at the Sofitel, right? Is that the Sofitel?
It's at the Swiss Hotel.
The Swiss Hotel, yes. So I was getting my wrong. The Swiss Hotel,
right downtown.
Fire location, fire venue, right downtown, centrally located. Have a good time.
Venue.
And we're gonna be partying. We're gonna have the playlist bopping, and we have us a good time
all the time.
So we don't have to apologize for being who we are, from our culture. Because let me tell you something. Cannabis culture is Black culture, and we don't have to apologize, and we're going to celebrate this. Kristi, if there's one thing that as you're coming this, year 3, as you're doing, as you are bringing all this together, how do you plan for the future? What are some of the things that you look at even now as you're learning and as you're thinking about it? Where do you see the future of your conference in your mind?
Well, for me, I've always seen the conference being a global event. Black is global, Even when I launched Black Cannabusiness, people were like, why the Black? Why not minority this? Or why not African American or this? Well, because I wanted to create a space that was bigger than us and where we are. And what we know is that cannabis, just like Black, is global. And there are so many folks that I hear from, and I say this all the time, from the whole diaspora, Canada to the Caribbean and everywhere in between, from around the world. And so for me, what I envision is eventually getting to the place where we have as many international attendees as we do stateside, attendees. Because again, this is about building our community. And our community is so much broader, than North America even. So just creating a safe space in a community, so folks don't have to wonder, if I go to this conference, what am I going to get out of it? Like, we want to be very plain that we are here for the community. Everything that we do is to support our efforts in building businesses and opportunities for people of color in the space. And so my vision is to continue to grow the platform with our partnerships, like with M4MM and Scene and BAPACAN and all the organizations from across the globe, in reality, that have come alongside and said, hey, we really support what you're doing. We appreciate what you're doing. How can we help? So when you have that type of love and support, not only does it propel you to want to do more, and to create more, but it also is your accountability partner, right? To make sure that we're staying true to who we are and who we want to be in the space. So that is my goal.
Let me tell you something. The international play and being able to bring people, Black folks in from a global perspective, we sometimes lose sight of that we are in a global economy and that we're here in the US, but there is a global economy and there's going to be a global economy for cannabis. And that there's people doing some fantastic things that do not reside in the US. And we want to bring all those folks in. I give a shout out to our UK. So we have with M4MM 4 international chapters, Belize, the UK, Toronto, and Jamaica. So shout out to some of those different areas that are, we were just in Virgin Islands with the folks that did the VI Canna culture. So there's so much that we do silo, but this is where we all need to come together. Let's put this on the calendar every year. Come to the Black Cannabis Expo. Come get connected. You guys, listen. Here's the IG. You see it. Follow Black Cannabusiness Expo on Instagram. I need you to go light up her page. Light it up. Share.
Holler at us.
Yeah, holler at them. Listen, we're going We'll see you guys. We'll be there with a whole bunch of other folks. It's like a family reunion so that we get to see each other. We laugh together. We talk together. But more importantly, we quantify the opportunity and we figure out how we help one another, support one another, and find our way so that when one person wins or one entity wins, we all can, we just got to pull each other by the bootstraps.
All ships rise.
Yes, listen, all ships rise with the tides, right? So thank you, Kristi, for being on with me tonight. This is M4MM United, M4MM at night. You guys, if you're not a member of M4MM, it's free. So how much better can you get than free? Then we have some other paid members. But stay connected. When you want advance tickets, advance notice, you want to know what's going on. You want to be in the know about the industry. And that's the hemp side of the industry as well as cannabis side. Please stay connected to M4MM. It's real deal out here. I don't want to hear in another 5-10 years, well, I didn't know about it, or I didn't know how to get in. Yeah, you do. Stay connected to M4MM. Make sure you come to the Black Cannabiz conference that's going to be in Chicago. Let me put up one more time. If you guys are not plugged in, if you want more information, let me put it up one more time for you guys so you make sure you see it. Please, please, please go to blackcannabizexpo.com, right?
Yeah.
Kristi,
and if you find me on LinkedIn or Instagram, hit us up on any of our channels, and we'll make sure to respond. We still have opportunities for expo and tabling, a variety of. We're one of the most accessible conferences in the industry in terms of cost. Roz said, this is business. That's one of our hashtags. Is we mean business, and that's what this is about. So if you're ready to make an investment this year in your business, and you want to show your brands and your business or your services at the expo, please let us know. We have really deep discounts now as we close the expo next week, and great deals on tickets. So we still, between me, you, and the Walls Rise, we still have buy one, get one going on. So we're not really promoting it, but if you go to the website and click on tickets, you can get one for you and your friends. So we make it as accessible as we can. And we also keep it real, right? Nothing comes easy or free, especially when you're an entrepreneur. So to your point, Roz, prioritizing where you spend those dollars, where you spend those hours away from home and in your business is important. So it's it's quality over quantity. So we hope that we are consideration for you guys. I'm so excited, Roz. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. The value of your conference, not saying others are not, but it is a value conscious type of expense that will help you to first get your toes into if you're not in the industry, and then it opens up your eyes to the breadth and depth of what's going on. I can't wait to see Chris Ball. Who else I saw on there? You got Chris is fire.
Chris is coming, and Chuck Ball is coming for the first time. His brother. We got Whitney, Beatty, and Ebony from Josephine and Billy's. We have Jesse Horton. Jesse's been on our stage a couple of times. So we have Jesse from Loud. I mean, it's just so many folks, and those are just the folks who are returning. We have Guy Rocourt from Papa Barley. So we are so excited to have his conversation. Roz is going to be on stage telling us some tidbits, like she does so well.
You don't know you don't check out the hardware. You don't see me. I'm blinging over here, Kristi.
I love it. Girl. I love it. I actually think I should probably get one also so that I can have a bling.
I do not know that Black Buddha. I'm in Vegas because Black Buddha is launching in Las Vegas, so I'm super proud. The brand is here. I'm very intentional about this, but my intentionality is based on the fact that I'm going to grow this brand, this Black Woman brand, so big, so huge, and go and lift people and bring them right up with me, create opportunities so that when the brand is growing, the other people that are coming behind, that you don't feel left behind. It's our responsibility. And I don't want to preach tonight because I'm going to preach one last time, but it's our responsibility as influencers, as individuals that have had some success, that as we start to see our businesses grow, for us to go back and look into our community, Black folks that have ideas, concepts, and if they need a little bit of funding or if they need like an intro, if no one else does it for them, we should do it for them. And that's my commitment.
Because no one's coming to save us.
Right.
That's the whole thing. That's the truth, right?
Yeah.
And so as much as we are inclusive and as much as we want to help diversify, that's a lot of work, traveling around and being, tokens and, being, on this stage because you look like this or whatever, So we really have to, as a community, understand that we're not competing against each other. We are certainly working together. And so one of the things, and we'll go because, we preach, but that's why we call it church. That's why the general sessions are like church, because everyone gets on the stage and we say the truth. And then somebody in the audience is going to say, amen,
right,
or word or whatever it is in Chicago.
If you guys are coming, don't come just with your smile and just with just conversation. Have your business cards. If you don't have business cards, hi, hello. It's a digital business card. Be prepared to do business, right? We're not playing around. If you want something, if you need something, ask for it. You know what? It's like a no is just a yes. If someone says no, it's a yes waiting to happen, right? So don't be afraid. Open yourself up to connecting and being able to be very intentional about your time there. Because I know Kristi values your time, how she's setting up the programming, the breakout sessions, even from the vendors that are on the floor. It's very intentional, and you have to come prepared and seek whatever you're coming that you need. Make sure you're prepared to go get it. All right.
All right. And that's a challenge. Like before you even come, make a list of the things that you hope to accomplish. And we're gonna go because me, Roz, can go and go and go and go. I know we're already past the time, but the one thing the final thing, this is my final thing. This is my final verse.
Yes.
This is my final piece. We talk so much as a community about raising capital and as a matter of fact, we are having a pitch competition, you guys. I don't know how I forgot to mention that. If you aren't aware of that, go to our website. At the top on the navigation bar, you'll see pitch competition and see if I don't think we've closed it yet. So, and if we have, hit us up on our channels and we'll see what we can do. But, and that's a part of it. But when we think about pitching, it's not only about money, it's also about ourselves. Like, who are we?
Yeah.
And so when Rob is saying, think about what you're going to do and who you want to talk to, that's real. And for those of us who have been to other conferences, we know how daunting that is. Like, you will go to a conference, come back with 50,000 cards and don't remember anybody. Because you didn't have a strategy, or you thought this, or maybe collecting cards with your strategy. It shouldn't be your strategy, but maybe, when you're just getting into the space, that's kind of what we all do. But when you know more, you do better. And then those of us who know more share that so that no one else has to waste their time going to a huge conference and gathering all these business cards only to go home broke with no connections. Your goal at Black Cannabusiness, and I will always keep going back to we mean business, because we will have a good time. We will have sessions. We're going to hang out at the dice mixer and our family reunion party. We're going to do all those things. But then also after the conference, we're following up with all of our attendees that attended the various workshops and various panels to ask them how far they have gone with whatever goals or plans they made at the conference. So we're holding you guys as accountable as we hope that you guys are going to hold us for making sure that you guys are taking full advantage of all of the wonderful time and energy. Like I said, our speakers have been on orientation calls. They have submitted presentations. They have sent teams and money and time out of their own pocket, to create this program for you, for all of us. I mean, I haven't even seen all of the presentations, but I encourage everyone to visit the website now, look at the agenda, look at the speakers, start to jot down what you absolutely cannot miss. One other thing that's different this year that we've done that we haven't done previously, Roz, and that traditionally we would have 6, 7, 8 sometimes breakouts. Feedback was it was too many breakout sessions. Folks felt like they were missing too much. So this year, for the first time, we only have 4 breakouts. Okay. So that means our sessions are much more targeted. Not 4 breakouts, period. But what I'm saying is 4 breakout rooms, for each hour. So once we break after lunch and everybody starts doing the workshops, instead of having 6 breakouts to choose from, there'll only be 4 each hour. And those 4 were selected 100% because our attendees and speakers have said these are the topics and themes that are the most pressing. So again, a lot of thought has been given and time has been taken to make sure that we're touching on the things and themes that are important to us.
And so this is what you do. You got a business out there, go get you a buy one, get one free ticket. We ain't telling everybody. We telling you. Get you a ticket. Bring your partner, your business partner. If you don't have a business partner, bring one of your good girlfriends, your guy friend, your husband, and you break off. You say, I'm going to go do this. Mm-hmm. You go do this, take notes, record it, what have you, and then you bring it back, and then you bring that information back together, and then you go from there, right? So let me tell you something. I sat about a couple of weeks ago, and I was a judge for a pitch session, and it was actually all Black women who pitched their business. When I tell you the creativity and the amount of business ideas coming from us, and I mean Black folks, but it was Black women specifically, it blew my mind away. One young lady, if I would have had a grip to go and invest in her right now, I would. And so this is the time. If you got an idea, if you have your business, listen, make sure it's strong. Make sure you're ready for the presentation. Don't sign up if you're not strong and ready to go. And if you need some support, contact us at M4MM. If we can help you, we will. But go in there strong, because let me tell you something. You never know who's sitting in the audience who may say, you know what, I'll invest in you. I love that idea. You know, so just what they say, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. Mark my words, right? I think Kristi, I think you're frozen. I want to give a shout out. I see Caleb Howard in the audience, our M4MM Illinois State Director, all of our M4MM family, and everybody that's joined in. I thank you. I love on you. Make sure if you want more information, www.blackcannabisexpo.com. This was Miss Kristi Price. I'm Roz McCarthy. I appreciate you guys. Have a great summer, and we will see you in Chicago.
Yeah. See you in Chicago.
See you in Chicago.